Now, barely 48 hours before the local government elections, a faction of the All Progressive Congress has dragged Tony Okocha and the Rivers State Electoral Commission to court. The suit filed by the Emeka Beke-led APC faction alleges that Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission unlawfully excluded their candidates from the August 30 polls and instead recognized a rival list submitted by Tony Okocha's camp. The
plaintiffs alleged that while they were conducting their own primaries on August 7, 2025, Tony Okocha quietly sent another list of candidates to RSIEC. When RSIEC eventually published the names of candidates on August 18th, the Beke's faction's nominees were missing.
In their words, RSIEC's action was blatant, willful, and unlawful, accusing the commission of working hand-in-hand with Okocha's group to edge them out. The claimants are asking the court to compel RSIEC to publish and use only their list of candidates, stop RSIEC from recognizing any lists from Okocha's faction, set aside the already published list of August 18, and void the entire election if their candidates are not included. Well, besides that, there's also conversation about if this election is legal. But joining us to discuss this development is we actually find out whether or not this is a threat to tomorrow's local government elections in Rivers State. We do have the state chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, in Rivers State. We do have Solsuema, Osaro, and also the founder and CEO, Tafafrica, Dr. Jake Epelle, joining us this morning for this conversation. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Great. All right, I'm going to start with you.
In the studio.
Great. I'm going to start with you, Chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Mr. Osaro, please tell us, first off, before we go into the internal, wrangle, fight between, we submitted a list, we did not submit a list, and so on, what is IPAC's position on this lawsuit? First off, what's your position about this election, looking at the Constitution? Is it illegal? Do you think it's accepted? And do you think it should actually go on?
Yeah, firstly, I want to thank you for inviting me up here this morning as a concerned citizen of Rivers State and as a stakeholder, of course, in the political circle in Rivers State. Briefly, let me also state categorically that as the IPAC state chairman of Rivers State,
okay, we seem to have connectivity issues there. But let's switch to our next guest who's here with us, Dr. Epelle. Dr. Epelle, you've talked about this all-important make or mar elections. What's your take on it? It's still holding, despite the fact that many have called for it not to hold due to the constitutional rights.
Including you.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. Listen, my dear. This is my position. When good men keep quiet, evil will thrive. We may do all the talking and they do all the doing, but history is recording us that we added our voice and called for the right thing to be done. In terms of the election, there are about 6 perspectives that I have about this upcoming election. One is the election in general terms legal? Are there constitutional issues? Are there provisions within the Electoral Act that is being followed? The second is the Electoral Management Body, which is the RSIEC. Did they do the right thing? Did they follow the minimum 90 days call? Who are the people in RSIEC that are qualified? Have they been tested before? Where are they coming from? Do they have electoral experience to organize a very important election like the local government election? This is grassroots democracy that we're talking about. Do they have the capacity and the competencies to organize this election? The other one is the political parties. How prepared are they? We hear that 50 would-be contestants had pulled off. Again, the issue is, has the public been properly educated to understand that they need to get involved in this election? And what is the feeling and the mood of the people? Let me take the first one, the legality. Everything shows that this forthcoming election tomorrow, did not meet the legal threshold that is required. The minimum standard was not followed, ensuring that the number of court orders, apart from the one they got on the 28th, there are other court orders that even the federal government have not followed. Okay, then let's talk about the experience of RSIEC. There is no doubt that I can pinpoint, even among the commissioners, first of all, the way they were appointed was the due process was not followed to the latter. There are lacunas in the appointment. There are issues that some of them who have been appointed had political affiliation, and of course, these are people who takes order from not just the administrator, but from Abuja. So is this election, is it supposed to hold? Yes, because it is meant to bring on board the third tier of government, which is the local government. But whether it is okay to hold this election, the important thing is, what is the legality? Was the legality followed? If you're a government that respects rule of law, could you go ahead with this election? I'm talking about problem. Let me end my statement with solution. The solution is simply that they would have suspended this election, allow the suspended governor that I'm sure that they will bring back. Once he's brought back, then you can work with him to conduct this election, and it will be free, fair, credible, and inclusive. So there is no doubt that they don't have, let me even ask them, have you heard from them at any point talking about inclusion of PWDs and even young people? No. Okay. So it's not like the local government election is not needful, is not very important. I am a grassroots person. Grassroots democracy must be promoted, but it shouldn't be promoted in such a rascal manner, ignoring the purpose of the people, refusing to get their attention. So if you ask me, it's not too late to call up this election.
Thank you.
Let a sitting governor come and conduct it.
Thank you, Dr. Epelle. I just want to confirm if we have the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council with us, Mr. Osaro. Are you still with us on the line?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah,
I want to, my question follows from Dr. Epelle's submission that, the elections haven't reached the 90-day notice, hasn't followed the 90-day notice period as stipulated by the Constitution, and why the rush? They could have waited for the suspended governor to resume. I want to know your take on that, and also your assessment of the general situation with regards to political parties and the legality of these elections as they take place in Rivers State tomorrow, the local government elections.
All right, thank you very much. Once again, good morning, Nigerians. It is quite a critical moment in our political life as a state and as a country, because the situation at hand in Rivers State, looking at it from three perspectives. Firstly, from the constitutional perspective, and secondly, from the perspective of the stand of the General Assembly of the Inter-Party Advisory Council of Nigeria, and thirdly, under the moral political aspect of it. Now, despite what the founder and CEO of Albino Foundation have said, I feel there is a serious constitutional lacuna when it comes to do with the conduct of this election. And I weigh this side by side, the Gazette of 125 Lagos State issued on the 22nd of July this year, as against the provisions of the third schedule of the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 as amended. You agree with me that the conduct of local government election as resided in the third schedule of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 empowers the establishment of the State Independent Electoral Commission and has also given powers to the state governor and as well as the State House of Assembly, powers to determine the appointment and so on when it comes to do with local government election in Nigeria. And River
we seem to be having...
and sectional.
Okay.
So if you look at that, hello?
Hello,
Go
we
ahead,
can hear you.
Mr.
Please go
Osaro.
ahead.
Hello. Yeah. So if you look at that, you agree with me that despite the fact that Mr. President published this gazette that altered Section 2, subsection 2 of the River State Independent Electoral Commission, how does that comply with the provisions of the third schedule of the Constitution of Nigeria?
All right. It would seem that we're having a huge challenge with the connection. We hope that you can connect. If you are back, please go ahead. If not, I'd like to go to Dr. Epelle. Are you there?
Election.
All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's a constitutional issue that should not be subjected to the whims and caprices of individuals' times. Nigeria is a democracy. We are in a democratic setup, and the international communities, the African communities, and so on, looking onto Nigeria and what is happening in River State, I think is not the best moment for Nigerians, as well as the international community and others, to view Nigerian democracy as a mockery. Now, on the second aspect of my stand, the General Assembly of the Inter-Party Advisory Council of Nigeria made a public written letter to the chairman of RSIEC on the 1st of August, complaining about the unconstitutional local government elections in River State. And of course, signed by the national chairman, Dr. Yusuf Dantale, and the national secretary, Barrister Maswell. You understand with me that political parties are the drivers of electoral processes in Nigeria, and as it is enabled in all statutory provisions of our laws. If political parties, who are the primary vehicles that determines the processes that brings up candidates, are now instructed by the letter from the national bodies of political parties in Nigeria not to participate in this election, in fact, pointing out the constitutional irregularities in the processes. And then, what standard are we setting? What is the excess of even going into the election when the political machinery have said this is wrong? And I believe that every political party who is a member of the Inter-Party Advisory Council will yield to the directives of the national body. Although it is quite expected that political parties may determine their own decision to participate or not in an electoral processes, but we are talking about a general instruction now from the national leadership of the Inter-Party Advisory Council saying this election is not constitutional, this election is not right, and political parties should not participate in this election. That public statement also shows that the Nigerian community, by the largest organized body in Nigeria, when I mean the largest is because every citizen belongs to a political party. And so if this body have taken up a statement to say, no, this should not happen, what is the justification for even going into the election in the first instance? But I'll also tell you that the IPAC is a body, it's a respected and responsible body. Where there are violations to their directives, I also think sanctions will follow. And so that is my take. And on the final lap, the moral in politics. What moral standard are we showing? What legacy are we giving? Posterity will not forget what is happening in River State today. And every conscious or unconscious actors who are involved in what is going on, you should remember that posterity will always ask tomorrow, because what is happening in the state today, I think, is a slap on democracy, because it is quite, uncalled for. If in a democratic setting, election that ought to have been conducted by a sitting governor, empowered by the third schedule of the Constitution, and also moderated by the Rivers State House of Assembly, is being done under an emergency rule situation that has created the sole administrator. So what are we saying? I think it is an aberration. Furthermore, we are aware that prior to the emergence of the election that took place in 2024, the local government elections conducted by the suspended governor, there was a Supreme Court order that instructed, that guided, that postulated that there should be no caretaker committees in Nigeria anymore in our local government setting. But contrary to that, you can see today in Rivers State that we have sole administrators at the local government level. What moral standard are we living in our political history? So these are my submissions on the Rivers State election holding scheduled to hold on the 30th of this month, irrespective of, I know there are plethora of cases in the court. Some parties have gone to court. The both parties in court. The ADC is in court. Like my own political party, the Social Democratic Party, SDP, we withdrew from the entire processes. We decided not to participate as a party because we must respect the directives of the national leadership of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. And as a party that has set a standard in Nigeria, dating back in 1992-93, when we saw the presidential candidate of SDP, His Excellency Chief Emeka Beke-led, GCFR, the former president of Nigeria, won a free and fairest election on record till today. And it is also a point to note that the present president of Nigeria, Mr. President, was a senator on the SDP platform in that era. And most of us that followed politics from that era, we were we held Mr. President in high esteem, that as a man who has suffered in trying to ensure a democratic revival of Nigeria when we're in the climax and the heat of military rule, that today Mother Nature has blessed him to become the president of Nigeria. And what is happening in Rivers State? Why would Mr. President allow this to happen in Rivers State? He is an elected president for the people of Nigeria. And we also elected the governor of Rivers State. The man who within 2 years he served did a lot that impacted on the people of Rivers State.
All right, Mr. Solsuema, I don't know if you can hear me. Mr. Solsuema, I'd like to bring in Dr. Epelle into the conversation. You've given a very broad explanation. You did talk about parties who have gone to court. There's Emeka Beke, there's Tony Okocha, and the issues between them, and the implication of RSIEC. So let's ask Dr. Epelle.
Right. They have the right to go to court. Every party have the right.
I hear you. And I'll come back to you to speak on. I'll come back to you to speak on it. But I want Dr. Epelle to speak on that as well. I know Dr. Epelle isn't a fan of the elections per se, but if you may please speak on the issues between Mr. Emeka Beke and Mr. Tony, and also look at RSIEC. They've implicated RSIEC in this conversation.
Yeah, well said, my brother from the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Let's take it one after the other. Yesterday, in your news, somebody came to speak for this whole kangaroo process and was saying everything is ready. And of course, by the time you went to streets, it was a different story. So the information reaching me, and I have some of the documents, is the fact that there are two factions in APC. So if we have 17 political parties by this month, by today going into this election, apart from what the court has done, we would have had 18 political parties, APC 1, APC 2. However, there's a rift between Emeka Beke and Tony Okocha, who is the legitimate chair of APC. There's a huge struggle. The problem is one faction is supported by the FCT minister and peradventure maybe the presidency. The other faction is struggling to be recognized. And I am told that they've literally stopped all their candidates. And many of them, some of them I know, and I know the guy who was going to contest for the local government of my seat, chairmanship of my local government, with Opopo. He's quite popular, and he would have won landslide. And so, to save them the embarrassment, the judiciary has been manipulated to say that faction should not be part of the election. That is a problem that we have. It's further throwing the state into political crisis. Today we have constitutional crisis, because the constitution have been totally swept under the carpet. And so what my take is to focus on the way forward. What are we going to do? We've talked, we've said, we've written, they are not budging. That's fine, but at least there are recordings today that can prove to say that people like us and several others lend their voices for the right thing to be done. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Now, let me also use this opportunity to ask the dear people of Rivers State, please do not take to the street. Allow peace to reign. There will be a post-election legal battle. And that's another opportunity for the right thing, for the wrong thing that they are doing to be corrected, So I want to strongly ask the good people of Rivers State, the youths, the elders, the women, do not go taking the law into your hands. Allow peace to reign. Let them have your way. One day, you will have both your way and your say. Right. I've seen this thing play out several times. Rivers people, don't be cajoled into going into any form of destruction or resistance. Don't block RSIEC. Let them conduct their illegal election. At the end of the day, some reasonable judges that we have, and we do have many of them, would see the need to correct this, to be on the good side of history. I think my people have suffered enough. Rivers people, we have been taken for granted, our resources drained. They brought a foreigner to sit over our resources. And I keep saying that IPAC should be man enough to advertise how he has been spending public money.
All right.
He is responsible to account for what he was giving.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Epelle. We'll go on a very quick break. When we return from the break, we'll come back and still expand the conversation further. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Still Breakfast Central. We're counting down to the all-important make or mar Rivers State LGA elections, which is set to hold tomorrow, August the 30th. The build-up had started very early in the month, and there was a list that was indeed shared, although there are still implications regarding the all-important LGA elections, one of which is that who will be going to the polls? That's a big question, even though we hear that some political parties have indeed withdrawn or have pulled out from the elections. But we do have two very interesting guests who are joining us, and they'll be talking more on this just for a few minutes. And also we have our reporters on ground. Hopefully they should be able to connect with us. We do hear that the network connectivity is not too good, but if they can, we want to find out what the mood is like, the areas where they are indeed reporting from, what's really happening, and most importantly, are the people of Rivers State ready for this election, or do they still view it as one that is indeed faulty or not according to Nigeria's constitution? But let me bring in my guest very quickly. Dr. Epelle, before I go to our next guest, let me come to you very quickly. Let's look at one thing here, and that's one thing that's very clear and concerning to every single indigene of Rivers State. I don't know, I stand to be corrected, but there seems to be a mixed reaction concerning this. Now, some Rivers indigenes are saying, you know what, let's just go ahead with the elections. And when the principal in this particular context, the one whom we voted for, returns back on his seat, we would ensure that he takes the entire process to court so that we can upturn or indeed change every single thing and do it again. While there are others who are saying, you know what, just for peace to reign, let's just do it and move on. So what do you think will actually happen, especially looking at tomorrow?
Well, I think it's important to, state that sometimes, most times, when you do the right thing and follow a through process, it brings very lasting peace. The issue we're dealing with is very important. And let me weigh in on the fact that you said you heard maybe when the governor comes back, it's not going to happen. They have tied the hands of the suspended governors. He's not coming back to unturn anything that is being done. He's just going to weather through the storm, and if possible, by providence, divine providence, he would do 2027, or otherwise that's the end of his tenure, and they will ask him to bow out. So he's not going to change anything. This is their internal agreement that whatever they do before you come back, you're not going to change it. He's not going to change the fact that a lot of money has been siphoned. I don't think he will have the audacity to investigate, except with a sham investigation. So his hands have been tied right now. It will be further tied when he resumes. So there's nothing that is going to change at all. The political landscape in my dear state has been bastardized. It's unfortunate that the people that feels more of all this political melodrama is the dear people of Rivers State. A lot of them are struggling, a lot of them are suffering. When you go to ministries that these suspended governors have revived. As a civil servant, he knew the challenges, and as soon as he took over, he began to solve those things. All the good work that he has done has been overturned. Let me ask a question. This sole animator that you guys call administrator, has he ever shown us one project he started and completed? People do projects in 1 month, 2 months. He's been there going to 6 months. What is it that he has done except sitting there trying to conduct election for people to be elected when he's not elected or when he's selected? These are some of the problems that we have. And thank God that we have channels like yours and several others who are putting this River State issue front and center. And we'll continue to do that, or we'll continue to speak the truth to power, irrespective of what it will cost us. There's a need for the Rivers people to have a voice. And I thank God I'm chosen to be one of them. And several others. There are other people who are doing it far better than I am doing it. But the point is, as Rivers indigene, we will not, they say elders, elders are not in the house, and then the goat, lion will come and kill the goat. So you have to continue, we have to continue to let them know how we feel, how the people, the pulse of the people at every point in time. So we're not, of course, I know that they will eventually decide that they are going to hold the election. Let them do that. Just like it's on record that people spoke out during several governments. It will also be on record that I did. So as an elder statesman, I want to use this opportunity again to call on the president. Great leaders, when they make decision and found out that there's an error, they reverse themselves. So it's not too late. This whole thing can be reversed. I know a lot of resources has gone into it, but when the resources have gone into a wrong process, it would give us wrong outcome. The average Rivers people are not interested in this election. This election will witness the most voter apathy ever. They don't trust RSIEC because of the way they were constituted. Absolute due process was not followed in their recruitment. And so tell me, if you came on board through a wrong process, what right thing will you be able to do? Nothing. The people are not going to take arms and go to the street. That will not happen, because many times they set us up so that they will kill innocent people and then blame it on citizens who are trying to demand for their right. But we are wise enough. We are wise enough. The Rivers people are wise enough. Nobody's going to take to the street. Nobody's going to protest. We have a channel through which we vent our feelings, and one of them is the media. Nobody's going to protest. I bet you, like I said, we're very civilized people, and we know what the rule of law says, and we obey to the latter. However, that does not mean that they are doing the right thing. A lot of wrong has been done to Rivers people. The issue of even the money that they are spending is still on the front burner. They haven't told us, they haven't come out to, vividly clear the air to say that, no, central bank is releasing money to us. From what we're hearing and gathering, they've been borrowing money. They've been borrowing money. And so this particular forthcoming election tomorrow is also on borrowed funds. Who will pay the interest? Rivers taxpayers, allocation that belongs to us. At the end of the day, the bank will take all of them. I don't think any bank is doing anything less than 21, 23% interest rate threshold. Think about that when you relate it to billions. So they are going to make banks richer and make the people poorer. That's the situation that we have in our hand, Joe, Olive, and Gbenga. And we need voices like yours to keep pushing, and one day the truth will win. Let me, in the words of Obama, put it in perspective. He said, democracy will win if we all fight for it. And that's what we need to do. And we will continue to do that going forward. Let them listen to the voices of reasoning that is telling them this thing is wrong, don't do it. And all the former local government chairmen that have served the FCT ministers that are coming back to hold the local government offices. It's going to be a financial rake, because these guys have never been able to account for anything and everything that they have. Many of them have built massive hotels. You can imagine one of the local chairmen in the past administration saying that he spent $4 billion to build his hotel. Where did he get that kind of money? What is the salary of a local government chairman?
Thank you very much, Dr. Epelle. I would like to bring in the chairman of IPAC, Rivers State, into the conversation. Just before we conclude this conversation, Mr. Osaro, what's the official position of IPAC on this local government elections? And what are your expectations as citizens of Rivers State go to polls tomorrow to elect local government chairman?
Well, on the perspective or the position of IPAC, I made it clear earlier on that the General Assembly of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, headed by Dr. Yusuf Dantale as the national chairman and Barrister Maxwell Mbedu as the national secretary, and the entire General Assembly have taken a position, and they have formally written to RSIEC expressing their disgust and dismay that these processes are unconstitutional, that we cannot have a local government election conducted under an emergency rule, So, that be the case, that is the position of IPAC in Rivers State.
Now, what are your
Because
own
we
expectations? Yes.
Pardon?
Your own expectations on the polls tomorrow.
Well, let me join my voice to that of our elder statesmen who have spoken so well there on the present state, the feelings and emotions flowing in Rivers State today. It is not different. From our political party perspective, the Social Democratic Party, we've urged all our members to stay off the election and to remain indoors. We don't want anyone to get involved in violence, and we have said that we are not participating in the election, although there are some miscreants and imposters who have besieged RSIEC and flaunting appointment letters from the dissolved National Working Committee of the SDP after the July 25th NEC meeting we had, where we have a new leadership of the SDP headed by Comrade Adamu Abubakar Modibo and Dr. Ekpenyong Ambo. Now, we have also written to RSIEC. We've made it to understand that there are imposters who have besieged them claiming to be members of SDP. And we have put RSIEC on notice that discontinue whatever you're doing with such persons who don't have character, who have integrity, who have misleading the public about SDP. So, broadly speaking, we have asked our members to stay calm, stay off the election, stay off anything violence. Yesterday, a stakeholders meeting took place in Rivers State, where the leaders, members of SDP have also given their support to the stand of the leadership of SDP in Rivers State. And so we're not participating. We don't wish any crisis. We are law-abiding people, law-abiding citizens, even though what is happening in the state today will leave a question mark on the heart and integrity of the average Rivers man or the actors who are involved in what is going on today. But let me also remind us that the silent majority of Rivers people are not happy with what is going on, because we will not see a state isolated from the entire democratic setting in Nigeria and passing through these inexplicable experiences as a people who believes in democracy. Let me also remind us of the living words of Frantz Fanon. He said, and I quote, "We are nothing on earth if we are not in the first place the slaves of a cause, the cause of the people, the cause for justice and liberty." If weighing this against what is happening in Rivers State today, what will be our collective stand as a people? What will posterity remember you for? We will not be quiet when things are going wrong, in as much as we will not be quiet when things are going well. We stand as citizens of this state to protect the integrity of this state in the face of any situation. And let me also say this medium to call on Mr. President that as a product of democracy, as someone who has been in the forefront of championing the cause of democracy when we were in the military, shackle, today, what we are saying in Rivers State is not democratic. And if you are a product of democracy, why will you allow this to happen in Rivers State? It is against the conscience of politics, the ethics of politics, the pathos of politics. And I also want to join my voice to those who are calling on Mr. President. It is not too late to reverse any situation that is not well in tandem with the majority of the people. Democracy is majority's voice. And when you have majority not in tandem with what is happening, I know there are pretenses. I know people who are beneficial from the present situation wouldn't want to say otherwise. But the question mark will be on our integrity as a people tomorrow. And for those who are sitting on the fence, posterity will not also forgive or forget your stand. As a citizen of Rivers State, we must live by what we preach. We must stand for what is justiciable. We must stand on the constitutionality of every step of action we take. I maintain earlier on that third schedule of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 is presently murdered. And we cannot justify the conduct of Rivers State election in Rivers State with the gazette produced on the 22nd of July. it is not, in tandem with democratic principles, democratic rules, democratic laws. And so we want to join our voices to call on Mr. President. At this point, let us not allow Rivers State to be a ridicule in the international community, to be a ridicule state in international parlance, to be a ridicule state in Nigeria. Because as it stands today in Nigeria, this is the only state that is passing through this inexplicable experience in the political history of our time. And I also believe that if this thing is taken care of, it will also place Mr. President on a good footnote in the hearts of people as a listening president who listen to the voice of a silent majority in Rivers State and then did the needful. Let us not also forget that power is transient. Whatever we are saying today is transient. There were people yesterday, and there are people today, and there will be others tomorrow. Okay. Whatever we do, let us not look on the fact that today is I am in charge. No. What will tomorrow provide? What will tomorrow say? What are we feeding for tomorrow? What legacies are we leaving for the younger generations of Rivers citizens in this our political height? We have seen today that one of the most insulted, humiliated, disrespected, elected governor in Nigeria is the suspended governor of Rivers State. And like the elder statesman said, I don't think the governor will come back to undo whatever that has been done because he's shackled. I don't think the governor will come back to say anything otherwise because he's handicapped.
All right.
We have seen the entire scenario that played out. And then we are saying that as Rivers people, we will not fail to lend our voices to any injustice that is going on in our political scene.
Okay,
we can say our views, the other side may be done, but the fact remains that whatever decision taken today,
all right, Mr.
tomorrow justify.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments and your points. Well, gentlemen, I think we've said it all. But regardless, we do get feeders that the state is indeed gearing up for the elections, which will look to hold tomorrow. I know we've called on the president in terms of looking into this, especially from the two guests we've had. But that's a report that we do have. Just to wrap things up quickly, Dr. Epelle, very brief, because we're out of time. The elections will hold tomorrow. And many have said that they're expecting a low turnout. You've also said there would be voter apathy tomorrow. And also, many have looked into the situation that some persons will emerge victors and eventually will be sworn into these local governments. Can you share with us what the Rivers people should be looking at, especially from tomorrow, in terms of coming out to vote, in terms of ensuring that their vote indeed counts, and in terms of ensuring, too, that if they are not voting, they should ensure that they call for, they probably go to the courts. And lastly, please, while you answer that, is the judiciary, their silence, what does it mean, especially for tomorrow's elections, the judiciary's silence?
Let me start with your last question, the silence of the judicial system and those who are running the system. It's unfortunate that, and I want to say here that not every judge, not every magistrate, not every law officers are corrupt. Well, we have too many who are corrupt, who can be easily bought over. And so they would twist the political structure to favor the person who paid them highest. We see that happening. So we have very little faith that even when the court steps in, there's not going to be too many unturning of the what the people are doing. Now, the local government election is very important. It's important because it speaks to grassroots democracy. And if the process, as it will go on tomorrow, I wouldn't call for a boycott, for people to stay out of it. So, but the point is, this would have been better done, And Joe, listen, I keep saying to Mr. President, the time is always right to do what is right. It doesn't matter how short the time is. Secondly, every one of us on the surface of the earth will be remembered for two things. One, the problems we caused. Two, the problems we solved. Can we all be remembered for the problems that we solved? Why are we throwing spanners in the works and throwing away spanners that we will need? Why is it that the people that have spoken eloquently, although silent, is saying, listen, we don't need this election. We don't trust the administrator. We have a suspended governor. He should be reinstated so that he can conduct this election. But they are not heeding to that. So the process must continue, even if it produces, a very bad outcome. That's not the way to go. That's not the democracy. Because many of the things that's happening in Rivers State have failed every political science theory. It has failed every legal theory. Every time they come up with one thing or the other, the impact of the people is overwhelming. And we must not continue to do that. Because today is Rivers State. Tomorrow, it can be Ogun State. It can be Ondo. And let the people be served by those that they are elected, that they elected to serve them. Let the people hold accountable those that have been said will serve them. So tomorrow,
all right,
they are going to bring up their candidate. We must continue to spotlight them and hold them accountable how they spend Rivers people resources, and many of them are doing that and getting fatter, and the people are getting leaner, and that shouldn't continue.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, Dr. Epelle and Mr. Osaro, for joining us. You can count on News Central. We'll be there live to ensure that we monitor all proceedings and bring the live coverage of every single thing that's taking place in Rivers State. Thank you so much for your time, and do have a wonderful one.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
All right.